never get anyone who has done it. So we're going into a very difficult space. Now you need to be very close to Gibela and understand what are their challenges and come up with solutions to that. That's the first part, that's Gibela. Now if we talk about revitalizing, now that encompasses everything. It encompasses all the commuters, the stations, the network of running it. There you need to think, when Gibela reaches the 6 train sets a month, are we going to have these train sets just parked there, not being used because we are all used to using cars, or there's a solution to it to encourage people to use it? That is all. It's also something that we all need to start thinking about. Okay, so we reach 6 train sets a month in a couple of months. Okay, we are the best in the sector. But now we are producing a lot of trains that are just either getting vandalized. We have an ESCOM topic or electrical topic. We have theft. We have vandalism to the infrastructure. Those on its own as well speaks to the revitalization that Gibela wants to be part of, to change the mindsets, to change the way we used to moving around. So when you do a product or we come up with a solution, in our context, those are the things you need to think of, right? And I'm very happy that we are here, because now the challenge to me and my colleague is to now be very close to you and open doors and give you the time to listen and guide you, you know, to say, okay, for us, our biggest issue is here. I think what you're doing, it might help maybe in another sector, but for us, we really are struggling with this for us to achieve our goal, you know? And the best example I can tell you is the one that we just did with our colleague, with Charles, and it had a huge impact that it helped Gibela to achieve the manufacturing of those parts. Today, the same parts are being manufactured by a supplier. The supplier is using the same jigs that we created. So you can see, besides just doing the jig itself, it has a huge impact. And you need to be very proud of it. And those are the type of projects that I believe we need to now start engaging in, okay? And help each other to achieve this big target that we've set ourselves.
Super. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ezra. I think there are students who are going to speak later on here who are thinking of the problems that you are worried about. Like, for example, the infrastructure, you know. How do we put windows that if people throw rocks at them, they're not going to break? You know, so later on, look forward to that presentation. I'm doing a commercial here. So those are the kind of projects that we are precipitating towards. But I think from a plugging in perspective, I think we need to be clear ourselves to say, okay, this student is busy working on this project. Some of the projects, like you saw the characterization one, it will take forever. It will take a long time. But if he does break it, you know, if he does break it and he gets it right, it will change the whole world on how these things are done, you know. And I think we need to be able to define those ones that are sort of long-term. I know that we want solutions now, but we also need to think the long-term. When we have research that is focused on long-term, it's good for us to pursue that research, because when the what is it called? When the income comes from that long research project, because the IP is yours. I was talking to a colleague that apparently the board at Gibela is saying, where is the IP? What is the IP that Gibela holds? You know, not Alstom IP, Gibela IP. And you know, it's difficult. You know, people are looking at all the papers, and the papers are not showing any level of IP whatsoever. And through these projects, we can develop that IP, because, you know, the projects are funded from the partnership, and it's things that we've developed here, and they go around the world, like you're saying, that the moment you get in, then the whole globe is open for you to be a supplier. So fantastic times. So I think there are solutions. We just need to work on them, and I'm certain that the technical committee will really help. I know that we are seriously running behind time. I must apologize to people that must present, But I'm certain that this conversation is also speaking to the technical bits that you need to deal with, you know. So it's very important that we take our time with the conversation, allow it to sink, you know, not just tick the boxes and move on to the presentations without really necessarily allowing these things to sink and allowing ourselves to ask the right questions and allowing ourselves to, you know, end up living here and working on projects that tomorrow we can come back and say, you know what, this one is plugging in, you know, this one, when we get to the factory, it fits into the female, like, you know, the plug, you know. As Charles, you don't like that language. Yeah, but we've got these projects. You've got a round plug, and then you're coming in with a the rectangular one. There's no way that thing is gonna fit. You get there, and it's a nice plug. You've done it properly, but it's not going in. But if there was a proper plug, you make a round one, you know, you get there and you're in good business. So I want to give Komako the opportunity to speak to, we spoke about skills here, you know. We spoke about technologies that are being developed. And I can mention technologies. There's the virtual reality infrastructure. When Skosana started, we didn't have, actually when we started renting the building, the room was being used as a server room. So there were cables all over. When you got in there, you didn't have an idea that this thing can develop into the virtual reality lab that we have today. We have that virtual reality lab space. Skosana has taken some time to develop virtual reality jigs, you know. And these jigs are the exact jig that was applied to Gibela, you know. But sad to mention that those jigs that we are speaking about, with all the skill that we put in there, with all the technology that we put in there, they're not being used to train the SMME that you're referring to. Because that SMME should have been told that, you know what, if you've got guys who are going to be using this, take them maybe to, or the technology comes to the factory and you get trained on the virtual ones before you actually use the real ones, so that you don't break the real ones and, you know, create problems, you know. So there are those solutions that are already there available. There's the energy efficiency device that GROWS has developed that helps you to monitor your consumption. I heard at some time that Gibela wanted to put some solar panels on the parking. I'm not sure whether that has moved forward. It hasn't moved forward. But have we analyzed to say, you know what, if we're going to put this number of square meter areas of solar panels on our parking lot, in terms of energy needs in our plant, maybe this is the kind of services that we can derive from that energy that is generated there, you know. And with this device, you know, it's not a device that has been built in France and Paris. I know when the Paris technology arrives here, we run with it. You know, it's already in there and it's implemented, and, you know, but there are technologies that we've built here, you know, there are technologies that have been done by young people here who are sitting in this panel. And those technologies are not plugged in. I'm not sure, maybe, if, and be frank with us, tell us that the male is rectangular, but the plug is round. And then we deal with that rectangularness of the plug so that it becomes round and we plug in. Is that okay, GROWS, or you're not agreeing with this matter? So we are not talking here like we said earlier on. The idea is that when we live here, I mean, obviously there are governance issues and procurement issues. Those things will be followed to the letter. And we are not coming to say that we want to talk about these things because we want to break the rules. We want to talk about these things because we want to understand the ecosystem, how it functions, and ensure that we allow the young people to plug in appropriately. I can imagine if, you know, I know the Premier always loves coming there, or the MECs and all that for transport. When they come there and you tell them that, you know, this technology is energy efficiency. I mean, energy efficiency is not just trains. It's houses, it's factories, it's municipality buildings. It's everywhere. So like you rightfully mentioned that, you know, the technologies that are being developed must not just be solving one problem. They must be able to be taken elsewhere and solve problems elsewhere. And in that energy efficiency device, it can be a building, it can be the train, it can be monitoring some motors somewhere to profile the performance, and when there's a problem, when the profile changes, then somebody knows that something is coming before the thing breaks down, and they can start ordering parts if they have to order the motors from Italy and wherever. But we are not yet there. The skills are there. We can have more skills. The technologies are there. We can have more technologies. But with the technologies that we already have and the skills that we already have, we are not moving at the speed at which we need to get to the 6 trains. So I'm not sure. Maybe there are things that we're missing. Let's speak about them. But the guys are saying that the skills are there, the technologies are there, and that side is sort of working. But somehow, the part of acceleration to industry, hey, it's a tortoise one. Yes, Tabiso.
Thank you, Prof. I'm also to. Okay, thank you. To what our keynote speaker in the morning was talking about, one of the, I think, challenges that he also referenced to was the adequacy of skills, even in Europe. I'm emphasizing again, now you can imagine if they are still having this constraint, what more, with us? Because we are quite, far behind, with regards to technology. Just to give you maybe a context of what really transpired with this Gibela project in pursuit of this localization. We are having now a lot of suppliers that have localized, okay? I'm trying to say there is no need to reinvent the wheel. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. Where you have an existing hub of skills, we just need to know where to get the skills, network, and apply them accordingly. Through this project, we were able to localize a couple of subsystems. But before I can even talk about components themselves, the first initiative was to deploy our engineers. Again, coming back to the point that I raised with my colleague of revitalizing. The first thing that we had to revitalize was the mind, the knowledge, the know-how. Okay, because again, you can imagine if you compare, the yellow train with how train and this Gibela train, technologies are very different. So we had to first deploy our engineers for a minimum of 3 years, where they were working with, Alstom Center of Excellence Institute. Some were more software related, some were mechanical, to a point where eventually, Messi can attest that, we are also one of the, Center of Excellences when it comes to stainless steel manufacturing or fabrication. But initially, these were skills that were never existing in South Africa. So I'm trying to say, without being intentional about the how part, because our mother company has a structure, because they've been doing it all over the world, on how to transfer and localize, transfer the skill and localize. We need to be structured. It's not something that's going to happen by accident, There are models that, we need to follow to actually make it happen. So, again, within Gibela, we're having a supplier development department that actually works with our suppliers to try and get them to the right level. But it's a fruit of what has actually started years ago, about 8 years ago, like I said, when we deployed our engineers. So I think what I'm trying to say, Prof. and colleagues, is that the know-how is there. We just need to ensure that we bridge, the gap, because like you and many of the speakers have indicated, it's no use to pursue something that eventually will not be adapted, or it's not answering to any existing problem. So collaboration was also one of the aspects that was highlighted earlier on, to say we need to break this silo engineering type of an approach. Being an industrial engineer myself, and having been in the industry, I started to acknowledge, other disciplines. Chemical engineering, it's something that initially, I did not really have any interest of, but to know that the seats that I sit on, inside the train, they come from that, perspective. Then you talk about paint, for example. It's also a product of, chemical engineering. Then you talk of the stainless steel itself. It's a product of metallurgy. So as an industrial engineer, I cannot, be a solution in silo. I need to be intentional about having structures and governances in place to learn and draw knowledge from other, disciplines, so that it eventually becomes, like my leader was saying, that it's a pull system, So that's why I was very excited earlier on when Abu Tide was presenting a doctor to be very soon, that big project, because I could again, try to ascertain that this requires, a multidisciplinary approach rather than just, whether it's academic, it requires a lot. So I think the collaboration is quite important as we are heading with this technical advisory in a committee, that we need to have skills, minimum skills that actually represent, almost all disciplines. Because by so doing, I'm 100% positive that we will not be reinventing the wheel, like I said, or trying to imagine something, that's already a solution out there. I think that's my submission, sir. Thank you.
Fantastic. I want to come to the floor now. The idea is that we try and make lunch for around about 1 o'clock, okay, which is in the next 5 minutes. I've seen your hand, but I know that you're also going to have an opportunity. So I'm trying to look for people who will not have an opportunity to, bring their interventions. Are there any hands? Actually, it would be nice that the people that comment sort of are precipitating to more of a way forward. I think we've spoken quite eloquently, but it would be nice to say, from here, where are we going with respect to our entrepreneurs categorically? Because obviously the steering committee is going to deal with the research side and all that. So the research chair is taken good care of. But if in our discussions and in our in the debates that we've been having, we don't leave here with something tangible that we can measure on to say we had agreed that in the next 6 months, now that the industry is so dynamic, something will happen in energy efficiency, or something will happen in, for me, I think that then also demonstrates that we are going beyond the talk. Obviously, there may be constraints in the process of getting to the target for the 6 months, but it demonstrates the determination of saying, you know what, we want this to work. Is there a hand? I saw Alice. Is that a solution, Alice? We want to precipitate to a solution. If it's a good solution, we'll close the chapter and we will have lunch. I also see Pius has joined us today face to face. So any other solutions so that I can give the limited time allocation? Any other solutions as a way forward to close this discussion? I think you've been listening very well. Let's give Alice and Pius maximum of 2 minutes, colleagues, so that we catch up with lunch and come back to pick up where we've left off from. So maybe let me allow Alice to go first, honor the ladies, and then we'll proceed with Pius. 2 minutes at most, please.
Thank you, Prof. Based on the presentation by the keynote speaker who spoke on Cyber Nation, I'd like to ask, what is Gibela's role, and also understanding of the impact of Industry 4.0 when it comes to industrialization? As you can note, most skills are most current skills that we have here will disappear in the next 3 or 5 years, and we will also need new skills. So when you're looking at Industry 4.0 and most technologies that are being implemented, they are mainly cloud-based technologies, which means by the end of the day, for your your technical team, I think it would be best if you can also involve someone from the IT department who can help us with regards to software development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yesterday, maybe you may not be aware, now that you're not here, she made a presentation on the cloud work that she's doing around supporting suppliers, utilizing a cloud infrastructure. So I can see that, that also could be an indirect invite to have lunch. so that, this matter can be dealt with properly, because in the small time that we have here, trying to answer that question may not really be productive. But if you sit at lunch and, just listen to the story of what cloud infrastructure they've developed, I think that will sort of deal with some of the issues that I know there are other members that are interested in the cloud, like one of the staff members at Gibela there was looking at me through the corner of the eye. She can join that lunch team. So you just look where the members are seated. I'm not going to disclose your name. They will find out when you are seated together. Pius, yes, 2 minutes.
All right. Thanks.
Way
Prof.
forward, I guess, yeah?
Absolutely, yes.
Super.
Thanks for the opportunity. And I couldn't be here in person yesterday, but I'm happy to be here in person today. And I think my contribution is more bordering on what are the quick wins, low-hanging fruits, things that we can do to ensure that we've listened to one another and we're willing to progress forward. One of the first things that I'd like to say is that we must take Gibela up on their offer to provide that access, and to provide that support to create that platform that sits in between academia and industry. Whatever we call that platform, we don't know, but the catalyst of that is the next workshop that would happen where all the stakeholders are around. This is the problem, this is the defined timeline, and these are the cohort of people that can approach to solve it. If it means bringing experts from outside or from within, we have to obsessively commit to that kind of a process to get to a point where if there's a commercial solution out there, if Gibela wants to buy it, whatever the stakes are, we need to get to a point where there's something on the table, there's a willing offer, willing buyer, willing seller approach. And we can see out of 100 applicants, out of a pool of 50 applicants, can we get the best 10? Can we get the best 5? Is it fit for purpose? Those kind of continuous open innovation approaches would be my, solution to this kind of a problem. Yeah.
I'm aware that at Gibela there is an open innovation system. So what I'm hearing Pius saying is that let's work with that channel. Am I correct, Mercy? Are we hearing him the same way?
So yes, we do have the channel of open innovation. What I will encourage the team is that as soon as we have those projects that we said we will share, start to look into the ones that you would like to enter through the innovation system that we have. Okay, so that means that we need to move fast because there's a window of accepting of ideas during this innovation process.
Yeah. I want to close the meeting so that we can go for lunch. But I still feel that what we are still addressing still sort of leans sort of on the research side. I don't know if I'm correct. It's not leaning on the entrepreneurship side. Yes, it's a continuous value chain. I do understand that, but what I'm hearing is more of, there's going to be some research, open innovation, solution on the table, willing buyer, willing seller. So there's still a process there. What about the things that are already available? Actually, I forgot Trevor. There's also the plan A that he is deploying to help people understand. I think there was the issue of the skilling to understand the fourth industrial revolution. Sorry, Trevor, it was not deliberate. So there's also that. For me, this is how I'm seeing what is tangible. What is tangible is that next year, when we come here, somebody from Gibela says we gave Hauhelo an opportunity. And you know what Hauhelo did with that opportunity? She just didn't work it. She sweated it. And this is where she is now, Not necessarily that it's a done deal. I know people always speak procurement. When you say this, then you're committing to things that you shouldn't have committed to. But all I'm saying is that of all these 3 technologies and the 4th one with Trevor sitting that side, let's commit to one thing that we can run for the next 12 months and see what happens, because yes, we've run the jig thing, but the jig thing is now history, it's in all the papers and, it's history. but we're not building up on that history. We still, today, stand up and celebrate the JIG project, and which is great. But from where I'm seated, every year we should just give ourselves that challenge to say, you know what, this year, this is the project. Let's try this out. Let's see what happens. And when we come for the next GROWS, after the reconfiguration and restructuring, we have that conversation of, we gave this opportunity. Hey, Charles, just didn't do anything about this opportunity. We can't trust the university. Because that is also a conversation that we must have. We can't trust each other, and we have it frankly, so that we know that, okay, maybe this is not the jockey to bet on. We need to bet on another jockey. So from where I'm seated, that's the kind of conclusion. I know it's an uncomfortable one. It's a very difficult one because it's an element of committing to something that you really don't, it's a pie in the sky. But for me, it also gives energy to the entrepreneur to say, you know what, there's this door that is sort of opening. It's not opened, but there's this door that is opening. I need to put energy on this and build up on it. And I think we all sort of have a sense of some commitment that, okay, all of us are looking at this, how it's going to work out and how we can move forward. I don't know if somebody from the front here would like to, intervene there. Silence. It's a tough one. That's why we come here, to have tough conversations. We must get to a place where people can't answer. They get stuck a bit, but then they go deep into their minds and they think, and then, the answer comes out. Then all of us move forward. Yes, Tate Ezra, I see you are smiling. It looks like, there's a special anointing that is on you now.
Prof, I think I've worked with you for a long time to understand what you're trying to push. But to be honest, the interest is there, okay, from Gibela. And like I previously said, is more of the interest is to also, besides just giving projects to be done, it's also to give a platform to listen, and where possible, where we can intervene, we will intervene. It's not something that I can promise you now that we're going to take this one and do that, and no. But the interest is there. We'll open the doors. We'll give you everyone a platform to present their solutions, and they'll be taken in consideration. That's what we can commit to.
What do we say to the interest? So you've heard it for yourself. If you're not coming to the party with a relevant solution that can be plugged in, I've tried my best. The rest is yours. With those words, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the panelists. I hope you are staying around until tomorrow. The whole day today. So if it's this the whole day today, then I think there's the element of appreciation that we need to do. Mohokong, if you can arrange the appreciation, because the colleagues will be departing at the end of the day, then I'll call Prof. Munda to come and, express our gratitude to them for their willingness to leave the 6 trains that they need to produce every month. You said every month? Yes, the 6 trains, they left the 6 trains every month. I mean, this is really serious. They could have broken that world record, but they said, no, part of breaking this world record is making sure this works. So from our side, we are really grateful, gentlemen. We do not take you coming here lightly. I may be putting you in a place where it's a bit uncomfortable, but I'm also trying to make sure that when you go, you remember. We went there and Prof made us a bit uncomfortable, but from that, something good came out. So Prof. Munda, maybe you want to say 1 or 2 words, and then we'll give you the, yes. I think Khomutso can, yes, after lunch. Okay, so they are suggesting that maybe let's do the gifting after lunch, then Prof. Musha. We will start off with that so that in case they need to leave, then they are in a place where they can live. But for right now, it looks like the chef is here. The chef has prepared the meal, and the meal is getting cold, so enjoy lunch, and thank you very much, everybody, for your participation.